When the COVID-19 well, first of all, when COVID-19 first came out, let's rewind. When COVID-19 first came out, I say it came out like it was like a new release or something. It was just a damn plague. But anyway, when COVID-19 first came out, the one thing we wanted, like we're trying to get fans into sports events. We're trying to keep the economy open. We want schools to go on. The one thing we wanted, right, was a vaccine, right? All we heard was like, well, they're working on a vaccine. We don't know if we can get back to sporting events, but we're working on a vaccine. Hopefully we have a vaccine by then and we can get back to work. We can get back to life. We get the damn vaccine. And all these people all of a sudden don't want to take it, right? And then something interesting happens, right? Specifically considering the mass media, right? So the vaccine comes out and a lot of people choose to get the vaccine and a lot of people choose not to get the vaccine. Now, there's various reasons for this, right? Some people never get vaccines. They're scared of it. Some people, just don't want to do it because whatever. They just want to wait and see what happens, yada, 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 yada. I think a lot of people didn't get the vaccine initially because of cultural reasons, right? Now, I know people who are just scared. They generally don't trust anything. They don't want to do it. I know people like that. But I know a lot of people who just culturally, like, I'm on this side of the political spectrum, you're on that side of the political spectrum, so I'm not going to get it. And it starts taking on a life of its own, right? Once you commit to not getting it, you don't want to ever concede and acquiesce and go get it. You just want to stay on that side. And once you get it, you got to be like a pro-vaxxer all day, every day. I'll be honest with you, when the first came, I was like, I don't know when I'll get it. But then I was like, look, for the good of society, I'll go ahead and get it. And I'll set the right example and I'll help to open up society. So I got it. But anyway, back to the mass media aspect of this thing that I want to explore. The media had this decidedly, pro-vax slant from jump. And so the media initially really made it a priority to say, hey, you really got to get the vax, and we're going to try our best to either scare people or push people into getting the vaccine. And so the media, ironically, went so hard at trying to keep COVID-19 in the front of our minds and went so hard with trying to push the vaccine that it actually backfired on them. And I want to explain how they did that. Now, when Delta, so we're out here, we're getting a vaccine. And a few months ago, everybody who's going to get the vaccine has received it, right? And everybody who's decided they're going to dig their heels in, they're not going to get the vaccine, has decided not to get it, right? And so at that juncture, there's a real impasse, right? Half the people wanted it, they got it, half didn't. The states that were more, the northeastern states, the West Coast states, they all had higher vaccine rates than the southern states and the heartland states. What else is new? Welcome to America. So then the media starts cranking out this stuff about the Delta variant. Now, the Delta variant's a very real variant of COVID-19. It's the next step in the evolutionary chain of the virus, if you will. It is definitely scientifically, factually more capable of infecting you than the Alpha variant, which is the original strain we were dealing with. It can infect people quicker. It's more deadly. The symptoms are worse, right? The media, wanting to keep COVID in the forefront of everybody's mind and wanting to scare everybody into getting the vaccine, they started doubling down on the Delta variant. And one of the things they talked about with the Delta variant was they started pushing this idea that, hey, you better get vaccinated. You better get vaccinated. If you don't get vaccinated, we're in real trouble because the Delta variant is infecting everybody. It's infecting everybody. It's really deadly. You're going to die. You're going to die. And when that didn't move the needle, then they started saying, well, the Delta variant is infecting the vaccinated even. You are killing society because if you don't get vaccinated, the Delta variant is going to start penetrating the vaccinated, and then no one's protected. And if we let the Delta variant keep circulating and you still don't get vaccinated, it's going to kill all the vaccinated people too. It's out of control. It's the most deadly thing ever. Our defenses are useless against it, right? They thought that by pushing that narrative, they would get everybody to go out and get the vaccine. But really what that narrative did was they pushed so hard about how scary the Delta variant was, how much it could penetrate the vaccinated population, that people simply said, well, hey, shit, if Delta can penetrate the vaccinated too, then why the hell would I even get vaccinated? Apparently vaccines don't do anything. That was the logic they started to regurgitate. And then CDC would leak certain things that were alarming, and the media would step on the pedal and put a headline. And, no one reads articles. They just read the headlines. So the headline would say right away, vaccinated people have the same viral load as non-vaccinated people, to try to scare everybody, right? And anti-vaxxers would run with that. They'd run with that. Be like, see, it's the same viral load. I mean, the narrative became that the only thing the vaccine would do for you is it would lessen your chances of getting seriously ill or being hospitalized. The vaccine, they said, the narrative became that the vaccine would essentially just limit your symptoms, but it would not prevent you from catching it at all. And then the narrative became, well, if you're going to get the vaccine, it's just for you're being selfish. It's just to protect you from serious illness. It doesn't prevent spread. It doesn't prevent the virus evolving. It's not taking one for the team, for society. And the media did that to itself, right? By promulgating this theory that Delta was so potent that it penetrated vaccinated people, right? Well, it turns out that that's simply not true. Right? That's not true. And a recent article came out just this Tuesday, September 7th, in the New York Times. And this article essentially said, look, let's recalibrate, let's refocus. The actual chance of you getting COVID-19 once you've been fully vaccinated is more like 1 in 5,000. And the article broke it down even further. It said, in fact, if you're in an area like the Northeast or California, where a high percentage of the population has been vaccinated, it's more like 1 in 10,000 chance that you're going to even catch COVID-19. In fact, it would take about 3 months of being out in society with that rate of infection, 3 months of just being out and about, living your life normally, for the risk of you to catch COVID-19 Delta variant, if you're fully vaccinated, to even reach 1% of a chance. So essentially, the studies have now shown that if you're vaccinated, it's highly, highly, highly unlikely that you'll catch COVID. And it's highly, highly unlikely that you'd catch the Delta variant. Now they're reporting more accurately. The truth is, if you're vaccinated, you are much less likely to even catch COVID. And if you're much less likely to even catch COVID, you're much less likely to spread COVID. And if many people in the society are much less likely to catch and spread COVID, then COVID will eventually die out and we can go back to life. That's why I got the vaccine, to go back to life. And New Jersey has sprung back to life. As I mentioned, the Prudential Center, Broad Street in Newark, we're back to life. New York, because so many of us are vaccinated, we're allowed to do that. Now, the whole viral load hysteria, the article in the New York Times discussed that too. The fact is that even if the initial viral load in a vaccinated person and the initial viral load in a non-vaccinated person are equal, the difference is that in the vaccinated person, their antibodies are attacking that viral load very quickly. Even if upon initial infection, the viral load is equal, by the time that viral load is ready to infect somebody else, it's dead. It can't infect anybody else, and it won't even get the person sick. The person who's unvaccinated, that viral load will continue to build. It can infect other people and get them sick. So that was misleading. The only study that says otherwise, that the vaccine may be less effective, still 60% effective, but less effective, was in Israel. That study is an outlier, an extreme outlier. Every other study has said otherwise. And there's an article upon reasons why the health department of Israel has, first of all, they vaccinate everybody much earlier. So maybe their immunity is waning, which is why they're pushing this third shot. Also, the way they test it, they replicate the virus in the sample so many times that there's more likelihood of it coming up positive. What their agenda is, what their reason, I don't know. But the fact is the vaccine is highly effective. And the fact is that the more of us who get vaccinated, the less of the virus is circulating. I don't know how much more we can explain this simple, common sense, factual, scientific, studied reality, guys. Take a look at San Francisco schools, right? San Francisco has an extremely high vaccination rate. They opened their schools in mid-August. They have 62,000 students. 62,000 students they opened in mid-August. Do you know how many people have been infected in the school system and how many school-wide outbreaks they've had in San Francisco since they opened in mid-August, which is a month ago? 0. They've had 0 outbreaks. Compare that to Mississippi. Mississippi, where vaccination rates are very, very low. Statewide, they've already had 18,825 students with positive COVID cases. They've had 7 children die of COVID. They have had massive outbreaks. They've had to close the schools, start the schools, close the schools again because COVID is circulating way more rapidly. There's a reason why we don't have many issues in New Jersey, why the governor of New Jersey, despite how liberal he is, has declined to enact mask mandates, has declined to enact vaccine mandates in public venues, has declined to close things because we are so vaccinated here, well over 50 or 60%, that the likelihood of spread is lower. Getting vaccinated will help us to beat COVID-19. How could I explain this in a way that's illustrative of what we're going through? We'll take this example, right? Say you have a bulletproof vest on, not a vest, you have a bulletproof outfit on, right? A complete bulletproof outfit on. Now, it doesn't protect you 100% from getting shot, right? It only protects you 98% from getting shot, right? A slight piece of your neck is exposed, right? But the rest of your body is completely insulated, completely protected from being penetrated by a bullet, right? There's still that 2% chance some bullet will hit your neck, but it's very unlikely, right? Would you rather go into a room and walk around in a room where 2 people out of 100 have a gun, therefore only 2 people can shoot you with bullets and maybe get to that neck area? Or would you rather walk around in a room where 40 people had a gun and they were all shooting at you at once? Which scenario do you think you're more likely to catch a bullet in that'll kill you? That's kind of how the vaccine is, right? You're not 100% protected if you're vaccinated, but you're 98%. But the more people around you that are not vaccinated, that are passing Delta around like hotcakes, the more likely it is you'll catch it. That's why the vaccine can still work, and yet we could still want people to be vaccinated, right? Period. I don't know why it's so hard for some people to understand, but it appears to be. It appears to be. The less people you have capable of infecting you, the more likely it is that the whole thing will die out. Will die out. The whole thing is not that hard to figure out. We've beaten serious illnesses throughout human history with the use of vaccines. That's how it works, guys. Now think about this. You got armor that covers 98% of your body. If you get hit by a bullet, not only does it make you really ill, but now you can be somebody with a loaded gun, right? 98% of your body's covered though, right? Now, you have to go into a room, kind of like the zombie apocalypse. You have to go into a room with 10 other people, right? Now, if you go into the room with just you with the body armor on, but the other 9 of you have no body armor, and once they get shot, they start shooting at you, right? Or you can go into the room with 9 other people who all have the 98% body armor on. And they only shoot at you if they get hit in the neck. Who would you rather go with? What chance is better for you not to wind up shot at the end, right? Of course, it's if everybody around you is also armored, because then the chances of any of you getting hit are much less, which therefore make the chance of you ever getting hit much less. That's vaccination. That's vaccination. I don't know how much more I could break it down. That's it. And the other thing is, look, if you believe in evolution and you believe in Darwin's theory of evolution, right? Things evolve as they reproduce. It took human beings millions of years to reproduce into the state we're in now. I don't know if it's a great state or not. Time will tell, okay? But we're in the state we are due to evolution, right? Viruses are the same, except viruses have a much shorter life cycle than humans. Viruses are much smaller entities, so viruses live and die much more quick, and their generations are much more rapid. And so they evolve much more quickly, right? So the more virus that gets to reproduce, the more it varies. And the more it varies, the more it turns into a variant. And a variant is getting more evolutionarily equipped at penetrating our defenses and infecting us and thriving. That's what natural selection does, right? So if more people are vaccinated in the world, that bulletproof vest, less people can get infected, then the variant struggles to evolve, right? COVID-19 struggles to evolve because, COVID-19 doesn't reproduce as rapidly, so it can't evolve into more deadly variants. So anyway, at the end of the damn day, after all that rant and rave, the fact is that getting vaccinated is doing something for society. Getting vaccinated is lowering the chances of any of us getting infected. Getting vaccinated is lowering the circulation of the virus in society. And probably most importantly to most of us, getting vaccinated allows us to reopen as a society, to reopen our schools, to reopen our businesses. So if you get vaccinated, you are in fact taking one for the team.